And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Welcome on into the Dragon's Den. My name is Digital Dragon, aka Luke, and I am a 3D printing variety streamer and prototyper here on Twitch. What does a 3D printing variety streamer mean? Well, it means that we will build 3D printers, we'll assemble some 3D printers, kind of like a Mark IV, which was pre-built, or the Prusa Mini, which is just a few screws, to full up builds from scratch to kit builds like the Vorons. We'll also do some 3D printing, such as some cosplay or some little figures here and there. We do some prototyping, such as trying out some miniatures for Free Heathen to make sure that they do print out on FDM printers and that you can get all the supports off of them and stuff. You know, so we do all kinds of things here on the channel. Today, we are going to be continuing to work on our Rook 2020 kit. What I have here on the bench today is my very first Rook that I built, which is here on the left. This is the Rook Mark I, based off the Rolohan design, straight off printables. And we've also built the Fabrico Rook kit that we're making a few adjustments on right now. And now we're working on a Rook 2020 build. And we've been kind of going a little bit slow on this, but we've been making some modifications here and there along the way. So welcome on in, everybody. And let me just say, interrupt, thank you for the subscribe, and a clute or a clut. Thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. Modlight, welcome on in. How are you doing this evening, my friend? How are you doing this evening? Hopefully the weather's treating you well over there. I can tell you I was out for a little. So the beginning of this 4-day weekend, which was Labor Day weekend here in the U.S. So like Friday, I took off, and Friday and Saturday were pretty nice, pretty chill. As far as the weather goes, I wound up going up to Goldsboro for my mother's 78th birthday on Saturday, and that was great. And then Monday, Sunday, I wound up going back up there. Let me rephrase that. I went up Friday for my mother's 78th birthday. I went back on Sunday when she called me up asking if I would come out because my brother was there as well. And then Monday, I got up and decided, okay, I needed to get some yard work done. Let's just say I was outside for a couple of hours, and I was like, man, it is really hot. I'm really not feeling well. Let me go back inside. So I went inside, cooled off, took a shower to get cleaned up and cooled off and everything. Decided I was going to go watch Oppenheimer at the local movie theater. So I went down there, and when I went to jump in the truck, yeah, the temperature in the truck was 107. I was like, oh, that might be why I'm not feeling so hot. So yeah, big day. Hurting, you broke your big toe, and it's in the 80s, that's great. It was still 93 today. When I checked earlier, it was 93, but our humidity was like 50+%. So the feels like was 99, and that's right where it's at again right now. So no real wind, no real breeze, and it's going to be this way for the rest of the week, which is just going to suck. So, oh well. Hey Zombie, how's it going? Yes, we've got Rooks. We've got Rooks. So this is the Mark I. This is Gold Dragon. This is the first one I built. This is the one I took to Midwest Rip Rap Fest, and the one that died on me at Midwest Rep Rap Fest when the power supply went Tango Uniform. The good news is I've got like 2 or 3 of those, $15 Amazon power bricks, so we'll have spares for the next show. The Fabrico Rook, I think, yeah, we've got it. We've got the go ahead and pull that up here. So this one, my Rook Mark 1 is a Bowden setup with a clone BMG hanging off the back. The Fabrico Rook was going to be a Bowden with a Sherpa Mini hanging off the back. I kept having issues where the PTFE tube was getting pushed out of the top of this. So I found this mount that just screws into the back where your cable management piece would go. And it allows you to mount your Sherpa Mini in a direct drive setup. The issue is I've already cut the motor wire to length. So I'm going to have to replace this one with a different motor, which is on order from KB3D, should be here tomorrow. So we'll get that motor installed and I'll run it down, plug it in, and hopefully everything will be going good. And we should have this one going by Thursday stream. So hopefully we'll have this one going on Thursday stream. So this one is, let's see, kind of go through the things. Gold Dragon, my original Rook, is running with a SKR Pico and I think that is a Raspberry Pi W, I'll say Gen 1. And we're going to go very similar for this next Rook, the Rook 2020 that we're building. We're going to use the SKR Pico again, but we're actually going to use a Radsa 0, which is basically got it's a different processor, but it's more on the performance of a Raspberry Pi 3B in a Raspberry Pi 0 form factor. So that's what we'll be doing in the Rook 2020. The Fabrico Rook kit, we've got the a power supply on the bottom. So the original Rook Mark 1 is powered using an external DC power brick, right? AC to DC power brick, kind of like your laptop. This one, we do have a 200 watt. This is a LMF, I believe it, yeah, LMF 200 24 volt power supply. This is the power supply that came with the LDO Motors polyamide heater bed. I think this is a newer version of the power supply because I also have an LDO Motors polyamide heater bed for the Rook 2020, but it comes with a LM200 power supply, which is a different form factor. Okay, so just be aware of that. This is running a SKR Mini E3 V3 and a Banana Pi 0 M2, which is why we have an external antenna on this one. The Banana Pi built-in Wi-Fi antenna is not very good at all. You might be able to get it to join the network, but it won't have the bandwidth to actually even update the OS, right? Hey, Pete, how are you doing, my friend? Okay, yeah, Zombie, I could do a motor extension. I just ordered a new motor to have the new motor, because what I'll do is I'll use that other one on something else if I decide to do a toolhead board down the road. It'll be great to throw into a stealth burner down the road. So I'll just do that. So on this Rook, which is the one we'll be working on today, I'm basically going to have the Rook Mark 1 sitting here just to help me do some visualizations on which way the pulleys go and which ways the belt go. It's a lot easier than trying to look at like a step file or something in Fusion 360 while I'm trying to do things. So that's what I'm going to try and do. Hey, Outers Danger Den, how you doing, my friend? Welcome on in. Long time no see. You're dealing with contractors today. That's always fun. Did the Fabrico kit update the skirt so you can't touch 120? Good question. So the way I've mounted mine, here's my inlet, and I mounted my power supply so the connectors are facing up. So you would have to be able to stick your fingers through these way in there to get in there. I mean, you're going at least one knuckle in to get there, zombie. So I don't think I'll have an issue. Ooh. I don't have an issue, but I will be replacing that one that I just broke. So I'm going to have to replace the one I just broke. Either that or acetone weld it, one of the two. Yeah, that's so good. It also could be one of those things that, you know, you can always just do a different design. I don't know if they've changed that or not. But you can also do some type of cover on it as well. I mean, you're going to have to reach in there and really think around with it to get there. So kind of, we'll look at this one right here as well. So on this one, we've got our AC inlet right here and our connections right here. I will add a cover for this. I'll just 3D print a cover that'll go over the top of this. Because if this one came with it, it's somewhere around here that I can't find. Yeah, kids have tiny fingers. I get that. The other thing that you could do, you know, I mean, yeah. So I know that there are skirts that are made for these style feet, but this is a different style foot. So there would have to be a separate skirt that would be made for this side here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might just be just as easy to fab a cover or get a cover that's been fabbed already for that side. You know, I don't know. Something I'll have to look into. Yep, kids have fingers. So we've been, I'll say, sort of quasi slow rolling on this build, just for the fact that I've been waiting for some parts to come in, or really been waiting for some parts, or I'm trying to make some decisions. We haven't installed the bed yet, and I wanted to install the bed before I do the back panel. Though because the bed's going to need to be connected using some type of like Wagos, I may just, you know, do the Wago mounts right underneath the bed here, and then have them, you know, go ahead and pre-plumb the wires. But one way or the other, we will be doing wiring next stream, because I just got notice that the parts from KB3D will be arriving via UPS tomorrow. So I will have them for next stream. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things too of when you take these things to a show, you got to be careful of that, because everybody's going to want to reach out and touch things. We did a mock-up. So this is the Sentinel tool head. Let me kind of set these side by side again so that we can show you. So I never have ever tried to use the original Rook toolhead. I went with the Rookery from day one. And what that gives you is a 3010 at the front and then dual 4010s that hang up from the top and blow down through the sides. Good design. It works pretty well, especially in this small 120 form factor. I decided to try with the Rookery over here, which would enable me, excuse me, not the Rookery, the Sentinel, which the Sentinel was designed by Canrog. It gets you the 4010s down a little bit lower, so you're not having to go with a lot of ducts. The longer ducts here, you can lose some of the air pressure that you're trying to use to get better cooling. It mounts the 3010 right here in the middle, right at the front of the hot end, so you're not kind of same type of deal. It's closer to the hot end, so you're going to get more air hitting that hot end quicker, and then or the heat sink, and then you're going to have your 4010s down a little bit lower. Now, what that means though is you will hit at the front. Your tool head will hit in the front, so you won't get full max, but kind of looking at it, you should still be able to reach full movement on the bed, and the bed can slide back and forth. The mounts are slots on this bed design, so you can move your bed back or forward in order to get your best amount of print space. The original, because you did original Rook toolhead, correct? Yeah, you can do really good input shaping on these. Now, the design I'm going with, this is a mod, the original Canrog, and Canrog is part of Rolohan's design team now. So with Canrog's design of the Sentinel, it's designed to use a Sherpa Mini or a sail fin, which is an adaptation of a Sherpa Mini dual gear drive. I actually have a couple of orbiters on hand, so I decided I'm going to put an orbiter on there, and there is a remix to use an orbiter. So believe it or not, I'm actually going to put an orbiter and a filament sensor on here, and I'm debating seriously, like, putting a Voron 0.1 umbilical board with the actual rear mounted umbilical for it. So you'd have a 14 pin from the backboard to the back of the frame, and then from there underneath it's going to be direct connects down to your board. So yeah, I'm seriously thinking about doing that. In which case I guess I could technically go with another Sherpa Mini up here, but regardless, I do like my orbiters. They push really good. I'm running orbiters on both of my 0G Mercury builds. And while we're sitting here, that's been warming up. So let me apply some parts real fast and hit print. Okay. Mod Light, your parts just started. Yeah, most of the stock wires, like things like these, I would have to join together and then extend and blah, blah, blah. But with the V0 toolhead board with the umbilical, it actually has separate fan inputs for your part cooling fan. It would be one on each side. Your tool head would come around and mount as well. So the nice thing about doing an umbilical is if a single fan dies or I break fins in or whatever, I can swap one fan out without having to figure out, a 2-in-1 connection and a bunch of other wires. I'm just gonna, you just come through here, figure out where the wire length is, cut it off, re-terminate it, plug it in, boom, you're done. So that's why I was thinking about doing that. Once again, then your motor wire is literally like, okay, it's that size. So you cut it off, re-terminate it, plug it in, you're done. I would have to figure out a mount for the umbilical board that goes along the back, which shouldn't be that hard to do. It doesn't need to carry a lot of weight. It's just the weight of the board. And it would ease the wiring because then your wiring is coming from individual, kind of like individual direct connects from this board to the board that's going to sit right underneath it. So it should make it pretty easy to do the wire up. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. I never finished I'll say the full install of this because I realized real quickly, oh wait, number one, for my orbiter, I forgot to put the M3 hex nuts at the bottom of this top plate. And then two, I forgot I have to do the belts before I put these side fans in. So I'm going to have to take the side fans back out so that we can do our belting. And before we do that, we're going to need to add our GT2 20-tooth pulleys. So yeah, most of the stock wires will be long enough. Really doing the Voron umbilical, 01 umbilical is really, I'll say, a quality of life thing, because messing with this wire loom, and if anything breaks, then you've got to, take everything out, redo it. It's just kind of a pain in the butt. Where if you've got things set up so that you just have to pull something right off the back of a board, life's easier. There for now. Yes, this one. Just like anything else, when you're dealing with set screws, always go ahead and put a little bit of Loctite on them. You don't need a lot, but just a little bit, so that when you do engage them, they're going to stay there, not come loose. Especially if you're like Zombie over there and trying to run a 120 millimeter Rook at 30,000 Excel, and probably trying to do like 500 millimeters a second, 30,000 Excel. So the left rear side is going to be the lower belt. So your belt path is going to go down. And I'm just going to line up my set screw with the flat, because we're going to do the set screw on the flat first. And I'm just going to get this set close to the top. We'll work on getting this fully set up once we run the belts. And we'll get it, I'll say, aligned once we run the belts. And I'm not even going to worry about doing the other set screw just yet, because I know we're going to have to move this up and down. Yeah, I figured you'd like that, zombie. I gotta tease you some. I'm not. I mean, it's kind of cool to do speed every now and then, but every time I've done speed, you just chase a lot of other issues when you do it. So for me, it's just, I mean, yeah, it's, oh, that's neat, that's cool, but beyond that, it's just, can be a lot more to tweak everything to get it lined up and in again. All right, so on the other side, on the right-hand side, we're doing it with the belt path, I'll say is towards the top. So the set screws are going to be closer to the motor side. And once again, I'm just going to line it up and tighten it up against the flat. And I'm not going to do the other set screw just yet. I'm just going to have it loose so that after we run the belts, then we can adjust things for the height. Hey, Tactile, welcome on in. Thank you for the lurk. So we got our pulleys initially set. We need to take our 4040 blower or 4010 blowers off. And let me grab my fix-it kit because I know that they're secured with some M2 screws, and I know that the ball end screw that I have will not work. It just kind of strips out. So we're just going to use a 1.5 millimeter. I believe it was the 1.5. Yeah, the 1.5 millimeter hex driver. And there's 3 screws in this that we just need to undo. We'll slide these fans out. One fan out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I actually have a bunch of Honey Badger fans that I bought for my bench stock. I got the 6020, the 5015 blowers, and the 4010s. And I was just over there looking because I was like, oh, I'm going to need I believe it's the 4010 for the cooling fan for the control board. And I looked and I was like, looks like the 4010 I have over there is only Honey Badger, and I don't think I want to use a Honey Badger just for a control board cooling fan on a Rook. So I need to throw in a quick Amazon order because I'll use those on something that's going to be in an enclosed bay like a Voron or a 0G. Okay, so got my 2 fans out now. I'm going to go ahead and Just leave this out, scoot it over there so it's out of the way. Because we're going to run our belts next. And my belt material is the leftovers from one of my last Voron builds. So, and I know that this is going to be long, but I'm just going to kind of line it up, cut this in half. It's one of those things after so long, there's only so much excess belt that you need. Really what I'm going to be looking for here is just making sure that they're even. So you put one side, so you match them up with one side just one tooth higher, and you'll come through and just run them out along each other, and know that in this case my top belt and the way I'm holding them was the one that I started off one tooth higher. So my other belt should be one tooth exposed at the bottom. So I'll cut at the first valley that I see. And now I have two belts that have the same number of teeth. And that'll be critical because everything you do from now on, if you have the same amount of teeth exposed on both sides as you're putting your belts in, then you'll know that your belts are at least the same length. So when you start tensioning everything, it should help line things up. So our belt path, let me drop that stuff down. I'm going to basically start over on this side. I'm going to go at the top. And I'm just going to start by coming in through my front corner and around the front. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come around and go around the top pulley on this side. And then it's going to go around this top pulley here. And in towards my belt path. So you should have enough room to squeak your belts through here. Notice I use the word should. And this is according to Canrog, so you should have enough room that we can do this without, because it says you should be able to mount this to your carriage first, then run your belts. And I'm going to say no, or not worth my time. So I'll just make it easier. Oh, hey, Stephen Poole. Hey, Rob Mink. How you doing, my friend? I think I need to look at your latest Baby Belt Pro. Like the concept. It's looking really nice. What's all about Earth? Well, I plan on going to Earth. I plan on being at Earth. I plan on bringing a Vaughn 2.4 Kyber Dragon that we just recently finished. We're going to bring Iron Dragon, which is the trident behind me, which is now printing parts for Mod Light. So I can try and get those in the mail to him tomorrow. What else? My 3 Rooks may be going with me. My Zero-G Mercury, which is sitting behind me, may be going as well and sitting at the KB3D booth. So that's kind of everything I've got going for Earth. I love when we go backwards to go forwards. It'll be easier to pop this off to get the belts going, and then just like anything else, we'll pop these off, get the belts going, and then we'll mount this back up. And I believe you're going to be at Earth, correct, Rob? Okay, good. Yes, you're gonna you're gonna have both Legacy and Pro there? I'm assuming you will, since it sounds like Pro's kind of there and ready for everybody to beta test. Too many B's. The Baby Belt beta test. Pro is ready? There we go. There we go. Okay, so we've got our belt kind of sitting in here again. We're going to take our mount and we're going to come in from the back, loop it over, and then we're going to use some zip ties. There are some printed parts that you can use, but zip ties will work just as well. There's no need, I mean, you can print out the printed parts. It's not that big of a deal. Need to grab me some zip ties of the right size and flavor. Which is really just any size. I just need to get a few over here at the bench. And it really doesn't matter how many teeth you get overlapped and exposed. The goal is just consistency. So however many that you're showing on one side or at the top, you need to be showing at the bottom as well. So let me think about how we could possibly bring you guys in a bit closer. I'm not going to get you high enough. We're going to do some box stacking. Box 1, box 2. That should probably get you guys close. Bring you in here a little bit closer. There we go. So once again, we're just looking for consistency in how our top and bottom belts are looped, and about the same length is what we're looking for. And with that, we'll be able to get both of them lined up. Okay, so you kind of see what we did there. We just wrapped our belt around and made sure that the teeth were laying within each other. And then we did a single zip tie. Then I'll just clip that off and we'll be able to run the next belt and get that in line. Should probably ran one up and then the other one down. You can rotate these things around some, so all I did was just rotate it up, just like that. And as long as the bottom belt comes around that same amount, then we'll be good. So the bottom belt comes around our lower pulley. So it'll come around from the back behind our pulley. And there's a slot in the back here. So we're going to go through that slot and around that lower pulley. So it's kind of what you're going to see me try and do here is through the slot here and then bring this around that lower pulley. Just like that. And then once again, we're going to come up through the back of our piece here, right? And then loop it over the front, making sure that we have about the same number, or actually we want the same number of overlapped teeth on the belt. We'll put another zip tie on this. Make sure we're still good as far as the number of teeth that are overlapped before I crank down on this. I'm just trying to get it as tight up against the printed part as I can when I tighten this. And I'll do two things. It'll help to prevent any movement of the teeth, or loosening of the belt by movement of the teeth. And if I need to, I can also add a second zip tie on there. But you can see that those are the same amount of teeth that are overlapped and exposed. So now what we can do is go ahead and finish out on the other side. So same thing, we're going to come around through that slit in the back and pull our belt around the top pulley there on this side. We're going to have plenty of extra, but that's fine. We'll We'll take care of that excess slack here as we go. So you come around from the back through the front. I'm going to pull it somewhat tight. Make sure that your belt is on the right, which it's not, is on the right pulleys, and that it's lined up in the pulleys, not on the pulleys. So if your belt is like that, it's not right. It needs to be in the grooves of your pulleys. But as you pull that tight, you're going to get proper tension, and it's going to be going through those pulleys and around the pulleys at all points. And you're not going to get this, probably not going to get it super duper tight by hand, but you want it kind of as tight as you can make it by hand, because you do only have a couple of millimeters of travel on your motors. You also want to make sure that your motors are pushed forward when you're doing this, because that'll give you the most tensioning travel. Zip tie here. I just realized I'm in the wrong side of that. I need to go through the top, not the bottom, because I'm doing the top belt first. Sorry, I haven't been staying up with chat. Give me a second here and I'll get caught up. That sort of tight and ready. Line these up. You know? Now, to make it easier, when I route the bottom belt, I've got a whole lot here. That's going to be a lot of length and number of teeth to count. So I'm just going to take this one, cut it relatively short. So so we'll cut it right there. Now I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to come over to this end, right? I'm going to start this at the top. So, and then I'm going to cut it off of this end, because remember, they're the same size. So if I line these two up, bring it down here, I'll cut the excess off the other one. Now those are the same length again, so that when I run this other belt, I know how tight to make it when we do this. So Once again, just make sure that it lines up in the groove of the pulley. Come around, we're going to go through the slot, use our fingers to help guide it around our pulley. Do the same thing on this one. We're going to come around at the bearings, just use our fingers to kind of push it around the corner and guide around the corner. Then we're going to go around the bottom bearing back there. You can go ahead and line it up. Looking, I'm like, why is that not lining up? I noticed that the top one over here, whoops, the top one over here slipped and almost came completely off when I tightened this one up a lot. So that's the downside of trying to tighten things up a lot to start with. So now it's going to get interesting because I got to be careful that I don't actually, may have to recut one of these. So we're going to have to redo that. We're going to have to loosen up our slack to make sure we have enough on both sides for both of these now. Good news is I have another complete set of belts that I can use. The bad news is it just stinks when you do things like that. Hey Bionic, how are you doing today? Ay, ay, ay. Timor, how's it going? And what I'll do is once I get a couple through here, I'm going to go ahead and put a second zip tie on this side before I try and pull the other one straight or tight. Oh no, I've got hands and fingers in the way, but I'll show you when it's all said and done what it looks like. Seemed like it slipped again. Question is, did it slip or did my flip one? Oh, thank you for the follow, Peter Griffin. Welcome on in. Everybody's sneaking on in here on me today. Yeah, those two are good. I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and put a second one on this so that hopefully we'll kind of lock them in and they won't go anywhere. And once again, the other side of this is I don't know why I was trying to tighten this up like it was a Voron or VZ bot or something. You don't need to really crank high amounts of tension on these because it's just not needed on a printer this size. So yeah. Now let's just hope when I go to do the other side that I didn't over tighten it and then cut it to the point where now I'm going to have to run all new belt. Grab the bottom one first. Looks like we might be able to do it. And so doing zip ties is, I'll say, a fairly common method of doing your belts, used in lots of printers. Works well. Normally don't have any issues with it. As long as you're not like me and trying to really crank down on them. Uh oh, Timor, what are you lubing up with your Mobile X2? Hey, Shenanigans. So what size is it? This is a Rook, so it should be 120 by 120 in X and Y. And Z will be right around there. I mean, we'll figure the Z out total once we get everything built. Depends on kind of which tool head you use, what in-stop mount you use, so on and so forth. There's various mods that you can do. Yeah, I got this cut a little short, so this is going to be interesting. Okay. These are hemostats. They're a clamping, basically set of pliers, and they're pretty good at trying when you're trying to pull belts. Even better when you're trying to clamp belts together so that you can get a zip tie on it. So get one there. We'll remove the hemostats, and we should be able to get a second one right next to it. Okay, well, that ought to be fun. We'll run this for a little while, and if I have any issues, then yeah, I will grab the other belts and swap that out. So we'll go ahead and get this lined up. And remount our X carriage to the linear rail. I'm using M3x6 button head cap screws here. Get them snug, then tighten them down in a crossing pattern. There we go. Make sure everything's still moving relatively easily. And then we're getting full range of motion and travel. In this case, my zip ties are catching, so I'm going to have to rotate these around some. Hopefully without losing the tension on the belt again, because if that happens, then we'll be looking at redoing the belts again, which I really don't want to do. Basically, it looks like your the heads of your zip ties need to be facing the front, because if they're up, they'll catch on either side. But if they're facing the front, you still have plenty of room before you hit your pulleys. So, but I think that's going to work. We'll play with that a little bit more later. We're going to go ahead and get our hot end installed. Now, I did kink this, not kink it, but I did kick this a little bit to the side. And I did that because I don't want it to come straight out because it'll obstruct the airflow. I did want it to come a little bit off to the side. Just push that up into place. This will be installed with two M3x16. I think these were 16. front, middle, start from the outside in. Middle, start from the outside in. I'm not sure what you're going to there, Zombie. Hey, John Struan, welcome on in. Thank you for the lurk. Yes, these are M3 by 16, and once again, they are socket head countersunk screws. Now, what I'm going to do real fast is, those are button heads. And 4s. I want to see if I have some 18s real fast, because I did notice that one of my one side didn't seem like it was making it to the nuts in the back, and it looks like I have 16s or 20s. Okay, so I may have to use a button head, or not a button head, but a standard one. I just may have to pull the whatchamacallit, the um, hex nut a little more forward. And if I need to, I can go ahead and use the standard socket head cap screw here. It's drilled for a countersunk screw. Yeah, see, this one's just sitting here turning. It's not tightening down. So let me get my fingernail underneath it so I can help it come out. Come on, you little turd. All I'm trying to do is get something up underneath the edge to try and help it come back out, because I just put a standard socket head cap screw in there. I love that drop to filament spool and is undoing a huge tangle. It's just one of the phrases that pops in when you go alert. My wife saw that and she was like, "Oh no, I feel so bad for him." And I was like, "It's not really happening. It's one of the, I'll say, the stock comments that he'll throw in there." Wait, that's annoying as to why that's not coming out. Like I said, the one side will um, the one side catches, the other side doesn't. Use the right size, it'll screw in, I bet. Hey, Miss Dragon, speaking of speaking of Miss Dragon, I was going to say speak of the devil, but no, you're not the devil. But we were just talking about you. Were your ears burning? Yep, Miss Dragon's here. All right, so that's on. Uh, we need to mount our hot and cooling fan again. And this goes into each side into the plastic. I know I got my hand gets in the way doing this one, but there we go. Let's see if I can do it this way. Especially since we're going into plastic, I don't want to go ugga-dugga it down anyhow. You're already on? Okay. You just felt the need to chime up when I started talking about you? Hey, Rohan, how's it going? Yeah, we're putting a Sentinel on this one. And yeah. So I had the Toolhead pretty much on there just mocking things up, and see I was going to do it again and you guys were going to let me. Before I forget yet again, I need to get the M3 screws underneath there and get them pulled into place. Yep. Dang it. Of course. Of course. All right, gang, I'm going to have to try and play with this to get these lined up. I find that channel locks work a lot better because you can get into them and do flat against flat, where when you're trying to do this around a part, you can't, it's an angle thing. So channel locks work better in some aspects. And apparently, that did not want to work out. Why didn't it work out? Bulb sample. Okay. Hey, folks. Hey, Chris, how's it going? All right, where am I lost? Hey, Royal Nomi, how's it going? Thank you for coming on in. Let me see what all I missed here. So we got roll on here. Like the orange. Yep, going to do orange and black with the Sentinel. Royal Nomi came in. Kenrog, hey Kenrog, how's it going? Welcome on in. Yeah. Modlight Luke is helping me put Stealth Burner on my Anycubic Cobra Neo. Can't wait to get her buttoned up so I can print some filaments I would not be able to with the stock hot end. Yep. And Chris came in. Yep. I'm thinking about building a Voron 02. I've got the 01. I haven't thought about updating it to a 02 yet. It's a great little printer. It's nice because it's a small print volume, which is easier to heat up and get a nice good heated temperature in the chamber. Uh, Exactly. If you're going to be doing just PLA and PETG, just do a Rook. If you're going to be doing high temp items, do a V0. How come you can see everyone else but me? I see you, Miss Dragon. I'm just going through and reading everybody's stuff. I had to go back and scroll back up to get everybody. I'm sorry. Or do a Rook and build a box around it. Exactly. Take a Rook, get a big box, put it around it, and you're fine. Okay, so we got our hot end mounted, our fan mounted. We got the nuts put back in place so that when I put the fans in this time, I don't have to unscrew them yet again. Make sure that your opening on your blower fan is facing the opening for your vent. And then grab, in this case, these are, I believe, M2 by 8s or M2 by 10s, one of the two. They're tiny, tiny, so just be careful. And if you don't like the, I'll say the head of your hex heads, or your hex head wrench, get a different one. You will strip these out without even thinking about it. So, hey, Chewy, how's it going? Yep, I'm in the hot seat because I apparently I did not acknowledge my wife being on stream fast enough. Hi, Mrs. Dragon. Love you, Mrs. Dragon. You want 02 to print your 3D CW lambic paddles. The small ones I print, and with the cost Rook, that might be an option. Oh yeah, I mean, the Rook, whoops. The Rook will definitely be cheaper to build than the V0, but yeah, like I said, you just have to make sure if you're going to do high temp with your Rook that you print everything in ABS or ASA or polycarbonate or something like that. And in this case, it is. So this is Polymaker Orange ABS. This is an orange and black theme. I wonder where I got that from. Just saying. In one of your fans, you will have to move the wires out of the clip so that you can get it fully seated into the back. And it will have to go around your 30-30 or your 30-10 fans. So I'm going to get everything laid in there and pulled tight. Take your time, don't force it so you don't rip your fan wires out. There we go. Okay, you're doing the 4-to-1 geared Z. I thought about that. Yeah, low layer is great quality, and you shouldn't have the bed drop when you finish a print, right? How did the switch wire panels go? I'm sorry, the interwire panels have gone well after I reprinted the correct parts for them. I still have to do the doors, and my issue was I didn't like the print quality on my door hinges, so I'm going to reprint them. That's why it's still sitting over there with just the box sitting on it right now without the door panels on it, but it is going to be, once I get the door panels on it, it's going to go back in the lower corner there. And whoop. Ah. Yeah. And let's see. And Chris, the other panels should be here tomorrow, along with the other stuff that I ordered. So on my Rook Mark 1 over here, let me put some things up so it's out of the way. Not sure if that was the one I thought it was. On my Rook Mark 1 versus the 2020, let me see if I line the motor mounts up in the back. You know, you can see that the 2020 comes out a little bit further, not much. My original Mark 1 is using a BMG clone in a Bowden setup going to a rookery. We're using a Revo CR in this one as well. I'm running a SKR Pico and a Raspberry Pi Zero. It's not a 02, it's just standard 0. It does run Clipper and mainsail. And I'm running a DC power brick here. So this is 24 volt DC. 110 coming, well, 110 going into the power brick, and now the power brick is 24 volt DC. On my Rook 2020, we've got our LM, whoops. Let me see if I can hold this, move this around real fast. We've got a LMF 200 power supply. And this is DIN rail mounted underneath here with a single 200 millimeter DIN rail. Let me see if I can get an angle there. There we go. Right? And on this one, we've got a deck panel, and we're going to run an SKR Pico once again, but this has a RADSA 0 on top. So the RADSA 0 and the processor on here, one, it's got, I think, 512 gig of, either 512 or 1 gig of memory, but it also has eMCC on it, so I don't have to run a SD card. So this is running off of the eMCC. Yeah, Octoprint can be front end as well. And with this panel is going to mount right back here and allow me to, have basically a cable trough and an upward running fan that'll be running air over the controller boards. But you should be able to take the same type of panel, which is pretty much, your sides should be 240 by 240, and you should be able to print basically sides for all 4 sides and make this an enclosed printer. Let me put you guys back up here now. Make it a little bit easier. That over there. By the way, Chris, since you're here, there's the stickers. So I'll have these at IRF to hand out. So these came out nice. Went to make stickers. Oh yeah, I'll have them at IRF. You'll get some. You'll get some at IRF. Yeah, I prefer mainsail as well, Kenrog. Everything I've done has been mainsail. I haven't even attempted fluid. Let me get some things out of the way here. We'll put this one down here with his brother. So I'm going to have 3 Rooks by the end of this, and I may be getting a 4th Rook eventually from LDO Motors. So we've got our fans and our hot end installed. We need to get our, ooh, that was almost bad. Our Orbiter 2. Now before I mount the Orbiter 2, I am going to put the filament runout sensor on it. So I want to do that before I get too far down here. Yeah. Well, I doubt if you'll brick the motherboard because it's going to be a. Yeah, and when I talked to him, I'm supposed to get one, but he asked if I wanted a beta tester or a regular one, and I said no, I'll wait for a regular one. So, thanks for the look. Yeah, thanks for the lurk, Chris. Hopefully that means you're going to be driving home. Um, Almost everything for me is Clipper Canrog. The Prusas, so my Prusa Mark IIIs, my Mark IV, and my Mini are all running, the standard Prusa boards and Prusa firmware. Well, I'll say the Prusa firmware. One of them has a Bondtech extruder tool head on a Mark III, so it's running a Bondtech version, Bondtech modification to the Prusa, and then I've got two that are running bare Exas. So I'm running the bare version because in order to do your XYZ, or really the Z, it's like language is hard sometimes. In order to run your oh, that's interesting. Sorry, I got sidetracked. I was like, what is going on? But I think I did open this up and actually assemble this already because normally you have to assemble it. That's why I'm a little bit confused. Sorry about that. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, you have to run the different firmware because the Bear Exa tool head is like 3 millimeters shorter than a standard Prusa tool head. And if you don't run their firmware, at least to do your first layer calibration and stuff, it will fail and you'll never get past self-test. But everything else I have is running Clipper, so. Correct. Correct. So you would load firmware onto you'd load Clipper firmware onto the board. If it doesn't work out for whatever reason, reflash it with the latest stock version and you're back in business. But if you're switching from Marlin, I would go in and check your settings if you've done anything to check, to set like E-steps or, Z offset or anything like that and saved it in your config. So I would back up the config before doing that. So I got this put together. I need to mount it, and I want to say it's going to mount right on the back here, but I need to change the screws out for longer ones that came in the kit. It'd be interesting to see if I had one that I could look at to verify that though. Yes, so screw washer. Okay. And the reason you need to swap these out, because you need them to be longer, one, to go through the plastic piece, but also these screws, the little winglets on the motor are threaded. So you're actually tightening the planetary gearbox on the orbiter to the motor. Well, when you go to add the sensor, which will mount on the back, you're going to have to go through this plastic piece and then add a nut onto the back. So that's why you have to swap these screws out. Yeah, so a lot of these, you'll go through and you're like, oh, I've got to go get 200 millimeter this and 200 millimeter that to do it. If you're doing the printed Rook, I mean, you can make that Z like 300 millimeters tall. All it is however many or whatever lengths you've got for rods in. So if you had a bunch of spare rods from, I don't know, a Prusa build, it's very easy to swap that out with something else. So we're going to take our original screws out. And to get this front screw out, you have to take your tensioning screw out and lay your door open. So you'll take your two screws out. And the other thing we're going to need to do is remove this clip. And if I remember right, you've got to pry this out as well. This being the pneumatic clip, because you're going to use your sensor has a big piece that will sit down in there and guide all the way down. So you'll have this piece here that guides all the way down into your extruder, right up to the gears. And what happens is there's a steel ball right underneath this PCB. So a steel ball goes in that cavity, you push the PCB in and it clips. So whenever filament goes in here, the steel ball pushes back and it's pushing into a button. Same thing at the top here. This is a button up at the top. So you'll have macros for button pushes. So when you stick filament in, it pushes the ball back and it pushes the button and it goes, hey, there's a button push, run this macro. And then whenever you need to unload, you push the top button. You don't even have to preheat. You push the top button, the macro runs, and the macro will heat the hot end up to 235 degrees, back the filament out, and then cool the hot end down. And all you have to do is remove the tension on your, push this over to remove the tension and pull your filament out. So I really like this. It's a great design. The macros work great right off the, right out the gate. You don't have to change anything in the macros. And it's a great system. It works beautifully. So here you're going to have your screw, a washer. You're going to go through into the motor. You're going to have to use a 2.0. And you're going to, once again, you're tightening this back into the extruder motor. And I'm not going to put it in all the way yet. I just want to keep the extruder motor from twisting and falling out on me. Because once again, this piece just sits right down on top and goes right down in there. And apparently I do need the motor to come out some. That go between the motor? No, it shouldn't. There we go. So it just sits down on there. So it goes through the motor and then this loops around on the sides. Tighten up your screws. Oh, sorry. Yes, Fabrico, West 3D have Rook kits. Fabrico's I know is $2.99. They also have the 2020 beta frames. Yeah, the 2020 frame is an add-on. See, if you buy the Rook kit, then you buy the 2020 frame, you just build it with slightly different parts that you would print out. Get that through there, then you're going to get these on. Tighten those up. Put your tensioner back in. Now you've got your very lightweight filament runout sensor that's right at the top. So you're not going to waste a ton of filament either. Well, not if, but when that triggers. That lined up. We will use the wire a little bit later. So for right now, I'm just going to pull that off to the side. And once again, like I said, we'll add that in later on once I figure out whether I'm going to mount it and run all the wires straight back and do home runs, or if I decide I'm going to put a umbilical board on it. Hey, Steve 3D, thank you for the subscribe. Welcome on in. Kenrog, have you seen my ABL add-on for the Sentinel? Is that basically like the clicky side swipe? Yeah, it's clicky, right? I've seen it. I've never installed one. Don't know. And really, on a build this size, do you really need it? Oh, magnetic probe? Okay. So I do have a couple of things. Give me 1 second and I'll show you what I mean. So that's on there, and that's on there. That's good. Let's put that up. Let's put that up. What is this? Yes, that is 18. It didn't look like it. All right, put that up. Uses a $3 sensor. I will follow you if you follow me. What I have that I haven't used on anything yet. Let me see if I can find it. Because I've used several Pinda probes in the past. However, where's it go? Oh, there it is. Just slid down the side. I do have the ZN stop that you would use on, oh, what is this? There we go. One of these. And the nice thing about this is it's made to screw on. I think this is what you were using, right? Because it's the one that mounts to the lower two holes of the fan. And then this mounts to the front of it. Yeah. It's one of these. And this is off of, what was this? EL6H, 6H or 8H. I'm trying to remember which printer this was used for, but yeah, it was like an Anycubic or something like that. But yeah, I bought this at one point and was thinking about using it on something and changed my mind. But yeah, that should be able to work out just fine on this. And I did see that. So yeah. I just once again question the need for it on a printer bed this size. We'll see. Who knows? We can add that stuff down the road. So I'm trying to figure out, we probably try and route most of this stuff over to one side, then bring it around. I might have to extend like the thermistor wire or something to bring it around if I do a board on the back here. Really what we want to try and do is just keep it to one side or the other to limit the restriction on the airflow. We'll work on getting these together and off to the side. Probably use a couple of zip ties for that. Oh, nice. I don't want to do that too much just yet, because then I'll lose sight of which one goes to which fan. Have you ever thought about doing a tool head board hanging off the back here, Kenrog? Because that's kind of what I'm thinking of, is doing a tool head board off the back here and running basically the Pico Bilical, where I put the Bilical board back here, so it'll just be the one 14 wire or 14 pin cable that goes from the board here to the back of the board here. And it's a thought that I'm having. Not sure if I'll go with it, but it is a thought. So as far as mounting the bed, my biggest fear of mounting the bed is going to be I mount it and then I'm going to have to take it off again because I don't have the magnet for the bed. There are tool head boards for the NEMA 14SW. Yeah. So is that a question, or because here what I'm thinking about doing? Let me go over to our browser window. There's the Rook. Let's go to over to KB3D, go to Voron Zero Electronics. And run this set. So this is made for the V0, which does use that same size. So what you would have is you would have this board that mounts on the motor side, and you would have see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Yeah, so it's print fan on one side, print fan on the other side, hot end fan, your motor, and then you'll have what, thermistor. I think this is the hot end wire, the hot end heater, and then another wire. And it'll be a 14 pin cable that goes from this connector at the back of the tool head to the other side of this connector, which will be available at the top. And then on the bottom side would be all of these connectors that you would then just take down to your mother or your MCU. Correct. And so this board right here, you could just do a simple like L bracket mount. So M5 with a T-nut to mount at the 2020 with a leg with the M3 screws that will mount onto the wings here. And then this is this would be the slot where you would bring your Bowden tube into normally on the V0. And then this little hole right here would be the slot for your Z end stop wire to come around. I think it's the Z. Maybe it's the Y. No, Z end stop. But anyhow, you know, this is what I'm running on my V0 today. and it works great. And it's got a built-in chamber temperature sensor. So if you were running it enclosed, you could still get a chamber temp off of it. So yeah, just simple mod, create a little bracket, mount it right here at the back, and then you'll be able to take all your wires and get them in connected. And that makes it easy to do that wiring without having a big wire loom loop. So that's what I'm thinking. I mean, so it's what is it? $25 for the 2 boards, and then you can either do it yourself and create all your wires, or it's $40 for the wiring harness, and that should be the 14 to 14 pin as well as the, bottom to the MCU. Oh, got an ad break going on. So this is what I'm thinking about doing, and of course, I just placed an order and didn't order this when I did it, so that means I'm going to need to do another order. Always a good time. But yeah, like I said, I'm really going to like the way this looks. I'm reusing a wire here, so this is definitely extra long, and I'll just have to cut it and trim it to size, but we'll have the ZN stop wire come through here. We'll also have the bed heater and the bed thermistor wires come through here. And what I'm thinking is do a couple of just twist in cable zip ties right here, and running the bed power and thermistor, bring it up about halfway, and then loop it the rest of the way in so it can move on its own. And either I'll bring it up and under or up and over and do the bed Wagos right here on the inner side of the bed. I just got to figure out how I want to mount it, because mounting the individual ones that I had before they're not holding very well. So, and I'm thinking I want to do it on the inside anyhow versus the back side. So Canrog, was this triple bed your design? Because if so, if you could set up to be able to mount a couple of Wagos like right on the inside, that would be like so stellar. Especially if you're using the like the polyamide bed that already has the ferrules and stuff on them. They're already cut short for the ferrules. Yeah, so if you could set that up so that you already had a spot here on the inside edge for the Wagos, that would be awesome. You believe there is a mod for the bed gantry with Wagos? I had not seen that. I'm going to have to check that out. Saw it. There was somebody had a different bed, but But yeah, so I will definitely be printing that out later. There was the cable chain mount. Kirigami bed mod. And of course, if you use a Kirigami bed, there's already provisions on a Kirigami for it to do Legos and stuff. Ah, okay. Could it be in the Discord versus out here on printables? Yeah, because this one was just an issue with the springs. Yeah, if it's out there, it would be on printables. So interestingly enough, I found some things that were listed as remixes under here, but I found a lot more that were listed under collections, which means they haven't been tagged as remixes to the 2020, but they're designed for the 2020. Hey, Creatix Brit, how are you doing? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Okay, yeah, I'll look for it. I'll look around for it. Um, but yeah, I definitely want to get. I'll look and see if there's a new mount. That would suck, but I'd take the bed apart and do that. You know, I'd print it out and then do that off stream. No sense in making you guys go through the pain of that. But yeah, like I said, I definitely need to get the magnet on. The magnet will be here tomorrow. So we get the magnet on before we do. There we go. That's the one. I need to get the magnet on before I try and put it on the printer, because otherwise it's just going to be, I'll just have to take it off, put the magnet on. Yeah. So that's where we're at right now. Can't really make progress on the other one just yet either, because we're still waiting for the other motor to come in from Chris, and that will be here tomorrow. So Thursday we'll be able to make some more progress on both of our Rook builds. We'll need to I'll need to make a decision sooner rather than later on whether or not I want to do that toolhead board, so that we can get going on that, because I'll have to order that as well from KB3D. Not much, Britt. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. Correct. So I've got the two Mark 1s back there. The my original Mark 1, so Gold Dragon has a serial. So this one has a serial. The Fabrico Rook does not have a serial yet. It was going to get a video for the serial. I just broke one of the skirts though, so I may have, yeah, this one, I broke this one, so I'll have to reprint that. But I'm in the process of moving the Sherpa up to a direct drive, and I need to replace the motor because I've already cut the motor wires on the other motor, so it's going to be too short. So I got to do that. Um, yeah, I'm having a thought. I'm like, maybe I take this motor, put it on here, put this motor on there. No, stop. So yeah, Gold Dragon has a serial. This one and this one I'm hoping to get done and have serials before we go to Earth. So the request I want to have in the next couple of weeks. The Fabrico kit, well let's see, the Gold Dragon back here, which has made it to Murph and should be at Earth as well. This is Polymaker Gold, and I can't remember if this was done with the Prusa or no, I think this is all Polymaker. I think this is Polymaker Galaxy Black. So this is all Polymaker. The Fabrico kit was done in, so Gold Dragon was all PLA. The Fabrico kit is blue and lime Polymaker ABS. And then the Rook 2020 is Polymaker orange ABS. So yeah. And yes, once I get the other one up and printing and I get another good video of it printing, I will be doing a serial number for the Fabrico kit. And then we should have this one printing soonish, which means I might just go ahead and place another order tonight. Exactly. I'm sitting here going, oh, I'm almost out of coffee. And this is my second cup for the day, so if I have another one, I may be up late tonight. So I'll join the exclusive Rook 3 Cereal Club. Well, I'm not sure if Zombie's in that or not, but he probably could be in the 3 Plus Club if he would actually stop tearing them back apart. Or actually finish the build before moving on to the next one. Which is what I am so trying hard to do. Yeah, I'm kind of running out of things to work on right now. We are getting close to the 8 o'clock hour as well, so let's just chat for a little bit. There was a thought. So we could apply power to this and see if it goes worky. Yeah, I probably got enough parts I can build a few more of these as well if I wanted to. I think about the only thing I would need would be linear rails, but I probably have plenty of motors over there I could scavenge from. I've got like the Creality graveyard of motors sitting over on my bench over there. But yeah, I think my Gold Dragon I want to keep the way it is. It's got several of your mods on it actually. The Fabrico kit I want to keep pretty much the Fabrico standard. And then the Rook 2020 I think may get additional mods. Like I may seriously look at doing panels for the sides and adding panels for the sides. Because the nice thing is this is a good enough size that you can print these panels out if you've got a like a 250 or higher size printer. So the 0G's what 275 bed, and then I've got the Trident and two 2.4s that are 300 size beds. So I can, printing these out isn't that hard. So yeah, just get a couple of these going, put printed sides on it, make a little door in the front, and I'll have everything but a top enclosure for it. Do a longer Z. Yeah. Did you see there was somebody that did like it was something stupid like a 5-meter long Z on a Ender 3? I saw it on Twitter, and I can't remember who it was that did it. But yeah, they had it like sitting on the floor, and it was in a warehouse. It was something like a 8 or 10 foot tall Z on an Ender 3. And I was sitting there going, I have enough of a hard time getting stuff to stay stuck on an Ender 3 when you're going to the normal build height, all the way up. Oh, okay, that sounds about right. But I'm like, your bed adhesion has got to be good if you're going to do something that's like a 230 by 230 bed, but that high up, And I'm not like, what would she be printing on it? That would be my thought. So let's come back here and just chat a little bit. So who all is going to be going to Earth this year? I know Rob Mink said he's going. I believe Creatix Brit's going. Oh God, yeah, input shaping would be a nightmare on that. You'd have to do like outriggers, to stabilize the base. Which I've seen that too, like my Ender 5 Plus base 0G, it gets moving, and I've got to be careful too because this 0G feels like it's really top heavy as well, and I'll get a lot of vibration and movement on this. Like I've actually had these two, like the Optimus Primal and this Cali Dragon has basically shaken its way off and fallen numerous times, and it scares the crap out of me every time it does it. Yeah, I got you. It's close enough that we can drive. So me and my buddy Evil Diesel, who's about 10 minutes away, we're going to drive up on Friday. And we got a hotel that's like within a block of the venue, I think. And so, Murph, we drove up. It was like a 13-hour drive and stayed there. I flew out for Rocky Mountain and stayed with my mother-in-law who's down in Denver and just drove up each day. And I was sitting there telling Mrs. Dragon, I'm like, I've got to figure out a way of getting out there, but driving, I mean, it's like, I'd have to at least make it a 2-day drive each direction, which then means it's like I'm taking like a week off versus flying out. And she made the suggestion, she's like, well, maybe I drive out ahead of time and just bring things in the car, and then you can fly out. And I was like, ooh, so I got to figure out, what printers I would take and if I was going to go out there and set up a table next year. And I say next year, I've already got tickets for next year, by the way. They did open up tickets for Rocky Mountain Rep Rat Festival next year. So go reserve your spot and get tickets. I just have to figure out if I'm going to do a table. So does anybody have the bed bearing mount plates for an Ender 5 Pro? You're talking about the actual bearings themselves, or the plate that the bearing and linear or lead screws and linear rods go through? Oh yeah, that does. That would. So on the Ender 5, you had the steel plate that was at the top, and then the steel plate at the bottom was different because it had the motor mount in it as well. And between those two, you had it was a thin extrusion, like U-channel extrusion. And that's what the actual springs and everything mounted to. And I do not, well, hold on one second. So, you've got these cross plates, and these are, like I said, they're a U-shaped extrusion, and this is what mounts to, it'd be like this. So this is where your 4 screws go in on each side that mounts to the steel plate that has your linear rods and your lead screw. You also have a set, another set of extrusions that go around to form the base. Just need the flat top plate. So the ones over here that would go on the side that this mounts to. I don't know if you can get those from Tomgrow. I don't know where you'd be able to get those from. Yeah, this is the E5 Plus. The Pro is different. I was just trying to figure out which piece or mounting piece that you were looking for. Yeah, I don't know. Not only that, but if you're looking at the if you're looking for the that mounting plate, if you can find it, just the mounting plate, it might be just as expensive as like trying to get a used printer that you're using for parts that has that plate in it. And the reason I say that is I was looking for the Ender 3 has 40/40s on the side, 40/40 in the across the middle, and then a 20/40 in the for the y-axis. I was looking for the middle 2 pieces that are 40/40 and 40/40, and it was going to, the only place I found it wanted $90 for those 2, so that center cross and the Y rail. They wanted $90 for that. I just went and bought an Ender Pro broken, used, I don't want to say broken, but used for parts off of eBay, and I got the whole thing for 90 bucks. So now I've got motors and controllers and everything else that's spare parts for the parts bin, right, in the frame. It might be worthwhile just to look at possibly doing that if you can find one that's cheap enough. Because just finding that part, I don't know if you can go to Comgrow, or you might have to reach out to Comgrow or to Creality to see if they would even sell that part individually. But yeah, unfortunately, that's the problem, is a couple of these different pieces here. They're made as part of the printer, but nobody sells them, and that if you have all the dimensions, you might, like, if you had the dimensions, you might be able to even see if you can find a local shop that can mill it for you, or Syncut Send or somebody like that. But once again, you're paying for somebody to do custom machining. And if you've got the ability to mill it, maybe you mill it, but maybe you mill it out of a thicker piece of aluminum to maintain the rigidity. Yeah. I mean, that's the option. And trust me, I've thought about that myself. I have thought about that myself. In fact, you saw that I have the Ender Plus bed down there. I'm sitting there going, now all I need to do is build a frame that can go in. Because I gave the two Z-axis assemblies to Chewy. I swapped them with Chewy out at Murph this year. But yeah, I was sitting there going, I wonder how I could use this in a separate build to do something else. Because one of the things I'm looking at doing is a big plate, but not like huge high. Like, the problem I have with the Ender 5 is it gets top heavy when you're starting out. So even though I have it on a chunky table downstairs, it still does a big wobble. But if you lower that down, because I'm not printing, I mean, I print helmets, but I would love to do a lot of parts that aren't like height. So if I can do something that's this high, if I had something that had, whoops, darn it. Right. So it had something that was this high, but that size of plate, hello? Your center of gravity is going to be a lot lower, and you can do full plates of a lot of things with, you can do the Rook scalable with the tiny Z volume. And that's exactly what I'm thinking about doing. Because that way you could do a, I would want to do something where I would have the motors on the inside so I can enclose it. Because once again, it's going to have a large print volume as far as bed space goes, but I wouldn't need the height. That's one of the problems with like the 2.4. It takes a while to get the chamber temp up. You got to heat soak everything to let the chamber temp get up there if you're going to do other things that require higher chamber temps, like maybe PC, right? Nylon, where you want the higher chamber temps and a consistent chamber temp. But you're printing parts that are only 30 millimeters tall. So you're heating up a lot of volume that you don't really need to, right? So that's something I'm toying around with the idea of. I've always liked a more squished design, but I still want the larger bed size, you know, that you could play with. So, yeah. Yeah, like a 400 by 400 with a 100 height would work. Oh, hey, Pez Liz, rating in with a party of 25. Hello, hello. Hey, K2 Kevin. Welcome on in, everybody. Right in time for an ad break. Awesome. Hey, Comfortably Dumb, welcome on in. Welcome on in. Fix 'em, dude. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thanks for the raid, everybody. So we're going to hold just 1 minute because we're in the middle of an ad break. And once that's done, I will kind of do a little intro. But I don't want to do it with the ad break pinging in because I'm not sure how many of the raiders are already a subscriber. So we'll hold off. But thank you, Pezliz, for the raid. Thank you so much. That is very awesome of you. We go another few seconds here. All right, and everybody should be back now. Okay, welcome on in, Raiders. Thank you for coming into the Dragon's Den. My name is Digital Dragon. I am a 3D printing variety channel, and I'm also a bit of a prototyper as well. So here on this channel, I do a lot of 3D printer builds, kind of like what you can see behind me. I've got a lot of Vorons. I've got a couple 2.4s, a Trident, some 0Gs. This was a beta of the 0G full frame build. I've taken part in the beta testing for the Trad Rack, as well as beta testing some 3D printed parts. We're also starting to do some, there we go, helmet, some cosplay helmets and stuff on channel. We're doing everything from just multicolor print, full-size helmets, like this Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine Chaplain's helmet. It's just a multicolor print, full-size and wearable. I am in the process of, I've got everything printed. Now I need to go through the assembly and the sanding and painting for a full armor set of the Imperial Mandalorian Commando from Galactic Armory. So yeah, I'm trying to branch out and learn some new things, some, I'll say 3D printing adjacent, like cosplay and stuff like that. We've done death racers. We've built top fuel dragsters. We've got an Ivan Miranda mini tank sitting over here on the floor that we're still finishing the electronics on. Right now, what we've been going through and working on is our latest Rook build. This is a Rook 2020 build. So this is the Rook mostly 3D printed printer, yet going with a 2020 extrusion frame, which makes it a lot more rigid, which will allow you to print things a little bit faster. Yes, and I'm wearing a Ivan Miranda Spacers t-shirt today. But on this particular build, we're not doing just a straight vanilla build. We're doing some of the mods. So we've got a bottom deck panel already in place on it. We're going to use a rear panel mod that will allow us to mount our SKR Pico and our Raspberry Pi Zero, which in this case is actually a RADSA Zero Raspberry Pi alternative. And it has channels for doing your cable management. So this will mount here in the back and help keep things nice and tidy. We went with Canrog's Sentinel toolhead on this build. So we're using a Rook CHC nozzle. Actually, this is a, we'll call it a self-built nozzle because we're actually using a Micro Swiss all-metal hot end with a CHC heater and 0.4 nozzle. Sentinel toolhead configuration with a Orbiter V2 and filament runout sensor installed. As we've been chatting here on stream tonight, we're talking, I think I've talked myself into ordering a V0 umbilical setup, so we'll actually have a toolhead board that will mount in the back here. So all of our wires will mount right at the back of the toolhead, and we'll have a 14 wire cable that'll come back to another PC board that mounts the back, that then will run all of our cables to our MCU. It's more of a quality of life type thing that'll make it easier to work on the printer down the road. Will this machine be faster than an Ender 3? It can go faster than an Ender 3. Can I make an Ender 3 go faster? Yes, I can. Will it print better? Yes and no. It's just like anything else. As Nero likes to say, NEMA 17 stepper motors, 6mm GT2 belts, a heated bed, and it's pushing plastic. Oh, you were kidding? Okay, comfortably dumb. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You can make any printer go fast. It's whether, to me, it's, can I make it go a little bit faster and have good print quality, right? That's more what I'm concerned with, is having the better quick print quality, because it means less post-processing at the end of the day. So yeah, if I can print really fast and it's not something that I am willing to give to somebody else to show off my work, did I really save time, right? I prefer to do it well once than do it multiple times to get a solid product. So yeah, but this is what we've been working on. I've also been working on, let me clean up the bench some so I can get a couple of more things up here on the bench. I've also been working on the Fabrico Rook kit. So here, we'll just kind of do a little bit of an evolution. So my first Rook, meet Gold Dragon. This is a Rook Mark 1, based off of Rolohan's initial design. It's got several mods to it. It's including a rookery. It's got Gulsifer's Speed mod, which is basically a single piece ex-gantry print. Just provides a little more rigidity to it. This is a modified bed, which allows you to clamp on your Element UU bearings. I do have a deck panel on it with a multicolored print with the Rook logo. I've got the Canrog mod for a low profile ZN stop down here in the middle. We're running a DC power inlet, which will allow me to run a 24 volt power brick. So an external power brick, cooling fan on the side. We are running an SKR Pico board and a Raspberry Pi Zero for this build. Yep, that's pretty much my first Rook. It is using a Bowden style setup for the extruder and a cloned Bondtech gear, Bondtech BMG. My second Rook was built off of a Fabrico kit, and this is also running a Rookery. Now it's normally made to have the Sherpa Mini mounted on the back, right? Mounted on the back here where this spot is, and it's also a Bowden setup. I was having a lot of issues with the Sherpa actually pushing the Bowden tube out of the top fitting, and as soon as it does that, you no longer have tension going into your extruder and you start printing in the air. So I just installed a mod right here that allows me to mount the Sherpa in basically a direct drive configuration. It is printed in black because that's what I had to test the fitment on. I will try and reprint this in the blue, especially since I just broke this skirt. So I have to reprint one skirt side here, which is the blue anyhow. So I'll load that up, print a skirt, print this piece out in blue, which will be a quick swap. Once again, this does have the Gulsifer speed mod to it. I think this is part of the base kit. I think everything here is base kit except for this piece here. Yeah, this is running a SKR Mini E3V3. The host computer for this one is a Banana Pi M20, which does have an external antenna. And then my third Rook is another cell-source Rook based on the 2020 beta frame from Fabrico. Once again, we will be running a polyimide bed on here, which does have the actual power supply mounted underneath on a short DIN rail. So far the mods on this one include this foot, which allows me to run a standard IEC 13 socket. Since we're putting the polyimide bed, we do have the DIN rails underneath. It's a DIN rail cut to 200 millimeters, mounted with the same printed parts as you would use on a Trident, and the DIN clips of the LRS series power supplies, because it's the same mounting hole spacing. You'll notice that this is just the standard XY joints. This isn't the full length Canrog mod on this. I think it was Canrog. I think it was Gulsifer speed mod. I haven't seen one for the 2020 yet, though I'm sure it's out there. What else? We've got the back panel mod here. This was another mod that we printed out. The Sentinel. So this is going to be one that I kind of play with a little bit more. Yep. Several of Canrog's mods. He has come up with some great mods. So why not install them and use them? So yeah. But thank you all for coming in. Welcome on in. Thanks for joining me. I am not going to stream too much longer tonight because I am at kind of a stopping point. I don't want to install the back and start doing some wiring just yet because I am waiting on a box that's going to get here tomorrow that'll have the magnet and the build surface for my bed. and I want to get the magnet installed first before I actually mount it on the printer. And of course, that will then enable me to do all the rest of the wiring because I need to get the bed mounted here and get the wiring run before I mount the rear panel here and I start losing easy access to the back side of the bed. One of the other thoughts I have had on this was go ahead and print some side panels as well. Obviously, this won't fit in here completely yet, but I will design or whip up a couple of side panels real fast and add some side panels to this as well, maybe a door. So, because why not? Why not? Exactly. You went from modding the standard to designing it, and I really don't have the designing chops per se. I'll say in the digital world. So I started out of high school. I started going to college to be an architect. So doing the drafting and paper design I can do. I just need to sit down and figure out and learn a tool, and then start playing in a tool. So I have modified a few things in Tinkercad here and there, but not many. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at for the day. I am going to look for that other mod, Canrog, and if I can't find it, I may reach out to you on the Discord to see if you can lead me to whoever has it so that I can try and get that mod so I can get some Wagos in here easier. I mean, I can do the double-sided tape, or not double-sided tape, but the VHB tape. But if I can do it with a part that's already built in, printing it out and doing a swap may not be that hard. Rather do it now before I get way down the road and have to take the printer 2/3 of the part way apart. Because right now it's, I'd still have to undo the belt, undo a couple screws, and pull the rod up, drop one piece out, and replace it. But not too bad. Not too bad. Okay, with that, let's take a quick gander and see who is on that we might be able to raid out to. Not seeing who all is on yet. Let me go back to main Twitch. There we go. There's a few people that are on. Babe Ross, Way Cool Wood, Sins by Sadie, Capricorn Bud Tubes on where they're packing up orders. Mosquito Craft is on playing games. Project Red's on doing some design work on, I'm not sure, Talos or the new project. What do you guys think? Who would you like to go and raid into tonight? You guys want to do something like music, like Carmela, or we have Babe Ross with some art. We have Way Cool Wood working on some whittling tonight. We can go hang out with Capricorn Tubes and keep them happy. Crafting Space is a new person. Okay, what's Crafting Space working on tonight? The Crafting Space. Oh, sounds great, Canrog. Like I said, I will see if I can find that thing. If I can't, I will ping you on Discord. Just whenever you got a chance, let me know. Definitely, take it easy and have a great night. Thanks for joining the stream. Diamond painting. Well, that's interesting. So is this kind of like I was going to say like beading or something. It looks like she's just placing things in there. Hey, yeah, there you go, Timor. I know it's 8. It's 8:15 here on the East Coast, and I know I need to grab some dinner as well before it gets too late. Yeah, let's go over to Capricorn and keep them company. I've been trying to raid into them a couple of times, so let's go jump in to Capricorn. It's Capricorn Bowden tubes, right? Let me see if they show up on the easy button or the easy panel button. And they don't. So there we go. Capricorn Bowden tubes. Yeah, let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and start the raid. Please, folks, come on over with me. Let's go over and show them some love. They're another one of our industry sellers, so let's go show them some love. Thanks everybody for being here. I will see you all on Thursday. Take it easy and have a good one. Bye now. Hey, Darth Column.